for one more fine time.
Hello, party people. It's your boy, Dre. Welcome back to Fine Time, and I'm sorry, guys, but we watched another bad movie.
I know you've all come to expect me to do a heavy sigh, and then some other passive-aggressive bullshit to happen. But you know what? I'm just going to step right out in front of this and say, this was all fucking Andre's idea.
Oh, wow. We are assigning blame. We're still assigning blame. Wow. Oh my God, I thought we got over this. No, I mean, it doesn't matter how many of these we do. If we watch a bad movie, we have to assign blame. Well, you could say that we should have known this is going to be bad, as like over the last decade, it's probably one of the most dunked on movies like there is, right? And After Earth. But, you know, look, and I'm going to say this up front because this is the truth. We don't go into this like thinking like, oh, this would be like, oh, so fun to dunk on for content. Like, yeah, obviously, like After Earth sucked. I mean, like, and we're going to make fun of it right now. But I'm always fascinated with movies that are considered like the worst because I want to know that they're actually the worst. Like, what was the movie? I mean, I don't know about you, Steve, but for me growing up, it was like Howard the Duck, right? That was always like the worst movie, and it is the worst. But you know what? I know it's the worst because I saw it. So, like, I wanted to see After Earth for myself, and I guess you did too.
I mean, yeah, it's been a decade, but I finally had to rip off the Band-Aid. Like, I saw the trailers however long ago, like, nah, I'm not doing this. It's not, and I'm never ever going to be on a podcast that's going to make me either, so I'll be safe.
You know, I remember the trailer back in the day, and I just remember the face of Will Smith up close while telling Jaden what to do while he runs around the jungle, and like that was the whole trailer. Sure enough, that was practically the whole movie. So what you saw was what you got. I guess everyone knows what After Earth is if you're listening to this, but I guess just 30 seconds of background, Steve.
Yeah, sure. You know how some fathers and sons, you know how your dad or my dad would take us to the movies to see a thing, or how other dads might take their kids to go camping? Well, Will Smith, being the father of the year he is, decided to make both of those activities one activity and make a movie about that. But instead of doing that, that's not too exciting, so he called M. Night Shyamalan to make a sci-fi movie about it instead.
M. Night Shyamalan. You know, I gotta say, I never thought M. Night would recover from this because, like, obviously the movie before this was The Last Airbender, and that was kind of like the final straw after a string of bombs in the 2000s, or even if they didn't bomb, they got such a bad reception from people. It's like, man, what is this guy doing? And it culminated in The Last Airbender. And then, so, like, if you remember, they kept his name off of After Earth. They didn't tout it as an M. Night Shyamalan movie at all. I don't know if you remember that, but
I don't remember that, but I also don't remember his name being on the movie either. So I guess until we were getting into this, so I guess it worked.
Yeah, it sure worked because, like, but think about that, right?
Well, not really, but you know,
I mean,
I didn't remember until now. So
people found out within quick order, just like looking at the movie poster. It's like, oh, M. Night Shyamalan. How come they're not plastering his name? Well, that's probably not a good idea right now. Like, his name was Mud after Last Airbender, but I guess the funny part about After Earth is like, okay, Last Airbender was a disaster, and so I'm going to do the safest thing I can. I'm going to do a PG-13 Will Smith summer blockbuster. And,
I mean, that's not the stupidest rationale in the world. That should be a slam dunk in 2013.
I mean, yes, but even he couldn't make it work. That's the funny part. It's like, okay, I'm going to do the safest thing I can. Nope.
So, I mean, I guess a good question is, do we even like M. Night Shyamalan at all?
I saw Unbreakable back in the day. My friend had a DVD when that was fancy, so I watched Unbreakable, and I thought that was good. But that's really about it for me. I never saw The Sixth Sense or anything, and then like when his movie started getting worse and worse reception, I just figured people were overdoing it until The Last Airbender happened. But no, I've only ever seen Unbreakable, and now this.
I'm not made out of stone. I can admit that I liked Sixth Sense. It might even still hold up. I don't know. I haven't seen it in a while now. But after that, we all know who he is. He's the guy that mistakes shit that doesn't make sense for plot twist. Signs was pretty bad, Andre.
Remember you Signs? Seem to be traumatized by Signs.
Oh no, Signs dinged me in the head a bit. Village traumatized me.
Okay.
And after that, I'm like, no. And I just ignored that name wherever I could. I'm very sure I played The Happening one night during a night of Netflix and chill however long ago. And spoiler alert, nothing happened. And I'm still too scared to watch The Last Airbender, but I think that might be on our docket for the future.
Oh, we gotta, especially since you're an Avatar person, I don't know shit.
The real Avatar, not the one with the blue Smurfs.
Wow. I do like, though, before we get to the After Earthing, I do like that we've come back around on M. Night and we just accept him for what he is. He gets to make as many mid to low budget PG-13 thrillers as he feels like. Remember Old? Like from a few years ago? Old?
I remember seeing the poster. I didn't see it yet.
I remember seeing the trailers and stuff. I think I saw the trailer before The Matrix 4. And I was just like, this is a real movie? I'm like, oh, he's just leaning into it now. What was that one? Cabin in the Woods? Wasn't that last year?
That was just last year.
I think so.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, I like that he's accepted, because you know what? We need guys like him, I think.
We really do, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. Look up and down the lists of hot directors. Not a whole lot of them have last names like Shyamalan, right? I mean, just saying. I think it's important. So I'm glad people have come back around on him.
I wish he would come back and make something better than this.
I don't know. We haven't seen Old.
Do you really want to pin all our hopes and dreams on Old? Because I'm pretty sure we can't on Last Airbender.
All right. Well, we've stalled long enough. Unfortunately, Steve, I think we should talk about the After and the Earth.
Might be good for the people.
But as any good thriller does, especially an M. Night thriller, we start in the middle of the movie.
I don't know. I usually like to start at the beginning, but starting 20 minutes in, that's a good place to start too. Where the Smiths are in the exploding ship wearing their sleep apnea masks like it's the 1950s or so, and they get the lowest budget in the world until they get blown out of said spaceship. I'm already trying to shift to somewhere else, where we get the clumsiest fuck intro where humans evacuated Earth and they have to deal with predators. I know they're called something else, but come on, Andre, they're fucking predators. And
mean like the Predator?
Yes.
Like, okay, yeah, of course, yeah.
Capital P. That smell fear. This isn't stupid. Where's my water to splash on these guys? Because that's probably their other weakness that they never tried.
Yeah, like this is a narration. They're telling us the entire After Earth story with narration by Jaden Smith over it. Well, two things about it. First, why did it open like a trailer for another movie? Like it was cut like a trailer.
Because we got to get ready to sell the After Earth sleep apnea kits for all us fat guys at home.
You're making it sound like this is directed by Ed Wood or something. Like it was. My God. Okay. And secondly, and much more importantly, you hear Jaden Smith's accent that he's putting on for this movie, and Will Smith too. All of them do this. I can't even begin to fucking describe this accent, Steve. What is this? Like, I remember hearing it in the trailer 10 years ago and be like, well, that sounds laughable. But like,
I don't know what I was supposed to pick up from the trailer, but listening to Jaden talk in particular, I don't know where it's supposed to be from, but I wish he would stop chewing while he was speaking to us at home. It sounds like he's always chewing something, and come on. I don't know.
I mean, you could say, like, this is why you don't use, like, 15-year-olds in your big budget movie. I mean, like, unless they're really seasoned, which obviously he wasn't. Not his fault, right?
No, it's not his fault, but maybe don't invent an accent that doesn't exist for this.
Yeah, you could have just been Americans, guys. Like, this sounds, the best way I could describe it, if anyone's never heard it, it sounds like an Australian doing a really bad American accent, but that doesn't even begin to describe it somehow. But that's the best way I could put it. I hear a lot of Australia in there, right?
You're all in a after Earth trademark restricted whatever space colony. I think you could sound like whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah, I mean, if we have world travel and stuff, like, you can sound... I mean, people are going to have all sorts of accents. Were they trying to imply that the world had gotten so homogenized that everyone now has the same accent?
Don't give them that much credit, Andre.
I mean, like, you know, I'm just saying.
They did not give that this much thought.
I don't know, kind of like how in, like, some sci-fi movies, they theorize that, like, people will all eventually be the same skin color or whatever, just because, like, we won't have, like, so much separation of whether it's racism or just, like, physical separation between people who live here, look like this and that. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of theory.
You're already giving them way too many good ideas for free, Andre.
They already made the movie. Anyway,
I know, but it might be time for After Earth 2, the re-earthening, and
no, they're just going to run Earth 2 from NBC as like a supercut movie. You remember that show, Earth 2?
Oh God.
I used to hella watch Earth 2. I don't know why. I did, though. It actually had an ending, believe it or not. They knew they were getting canceled. So it actually had a real ending. Anyway, Will Smith's accent seems to come and go as he pleases. Like, he was definitely in Will Smith mode when he said, like, put my damn cutlass away and listen to me. You know what I mean? Like, that was Will Smith. That wasn't fake Australian Will Smith.
Yeah, almost like what I just said, where it really doesn't matter, but that was clearly him slipping.
Anyway, Jaden's doing this test to become a ranger or whatever, and, like, he fails the test, and he says to the corporal or whatever, but, sir, I must become a ranger, sir. My father, sir, is coming home tonight, sir, and I must tell him that I'm a ranger, sir.
Tell him I said welcome home.
Bye, bitch. Yeah. And that was it. And so he tries to face Will Smith at dinner while they're eating with space chopsticks off of... I don't even know what they were eating, but those are definitely space chopsticks.
Yeah, I don't know what those were either, and I really don't know what Will Smith was trying to do either, because he's trying so hard to be this strict military father guy. Even, you know, he's always away on missions, and he's got to lay down the law when he is back, but I don't know. It's almost like he's more Agent J more than... we're in a military suit than whatever this character is supposed to be, but he knows he's supposed to be more intimidating. It doesn't work. You don't buy any of this for a second. You're waiting for the facade to drop.
Can you believe he did this instead of Django Unchained? Like this. It's unbelievable. He could have been Jamie Foxx in that movie, and he chose to fucking do this. Like, get out of here. Like,
I know, I've read this before, but it just sounds so stupid every time.
Yeah. He read this. It's like, oh no, this is what I need to be doing. Not
the one by the director everyone likes. No,
not the movie that, whatever. Anyway.
So as you do in this kind of movie, He's done a lot of these missions now, and he's going to retire after one last job of peace. And because it's a mission of peace, he's going to bring his son with him. What could possibly go wrong, Andre?
Everything. By the way, Will waltzes right into Jaden's room. By the way, I don't even remember their characters' names. I don't fucking care. They're Will Smith and Jaden Smith.
Yeah, sorry. Not sorry.
Cypher Rage, I think. Cypher Rage was his name. And Jaden Smith's name was something else, Rage. Their last name was Rage. Cypher Rage sounds like a Capcom character. That sounds like someone you'd meet in Strider.
Or Captain Commando.
Yeah. Get out of here. Anyway, Will waltzes right into Jaden's room to tell him that they're going on a job together, which is like, these rooms in this, I don't know, this space apartment don't seem to have any doors, but instead it has like this double partition you walk through to get into someone's room. Now, look, I know this is more than 1,000 years after our existence, but I'm sure some things don't change, and you can't just silently walk into a 15-year-old boy's room like that. I'm just saying.
Well, one, he's trying to be strict military dad, so of course he's not going to give a fuck. Two, you really don't think they don't have those machines that just zap all those body fluids out of you when you don't need them?
I mean, body fluids be damned. You're still gonna. I mean, look, never mind. I'm not gonna get into it. I'm just saying.
You're right. We got more important shit to get into, like in the next scene when they're in the hangar, and there's this very overdramatic scene where this amputee makes his buddy stand him up to salute Will in the hangar for something he did earlier or in his career or just before. And, you know, this isn't foreboding at all, Andre, and I'm sorry to keep overplaying my hand with this shit, but they're laying this on way too thick already, and they haven't even crashed the plane yet.
I mean, if this were a good movie, maybe whatever happened to the amputee to cause him to be an amputee and Will Smith saved him, maybe that could have been the intro to the movie instead of like Jaden Smith and the bad accent just telling us whatever. Yeah, like just, I mean, maybe. Because there's not a single cool action scene in this movie, including the end where he finally fights the Predator. It's not good. Anyway, they did some. I can't hold this in anymore. They did something to Will Smith's face, right? His face looks fucked up in this movie. Is this early face aging CGI? Is he like contorting his face physically into a different shape? Is this like really creative makeup? Is it the soul patch that he has in this movie? What the hell is wrong with his face?
Well, there was something up with that soul patch, but yeah, I don't know what that they were doing. Maybe there was something in the jelly that day. I don't know.
The jelly?
You know, the HD jelly.
The HD jelly?
Yeah.
What?
Never mind.
What the hell are you talking about?
You know, that layer of Vaseline they gotta wipe on your face so everyone doesn't see that you're getting old.
I feel like that doesn't work in HD. I feel like that's a very, very SD, like a 1970s technique. Anyway, I guess they go on an adventure now.
Well, I think they're just trying to get to where they're trying to go. And then, you know, they try to do foreshadowing by having Jaden wander into the restricted area where they have a captured predator for ghost training at a military base. And
ghosting. That's how, okay, sorry. We have to explain this for 30 seconds. Ghosting is how Will Smith can kill all the predators because he has no fear and the predators can only smell fear. So Will Smith doesn't have any fear, so he's invisible to them. So he can just go up to them and slit their throat. I'm not joking. That's literally what happens in the intro of this movie. He goes up to one and slits his throat.
So yes, of course, and of course, you know, this is a trained technique that you can teach other people. So you got these other guards telling the Ghost Master's son to, you know, come on, you could do it with all the energy of a dare drug dealer. Come on, he's not going to kill you. He's in that cage over there. That
guy was very Irish. I looked him up on IMDb. He is very certainly American, but he was doing his very best Irish. I don't know. He wasn't Australian like the rest of them.
Look, it doesn't matter. They're all part of the human race in space and from Colony. What's its name? In case you can't tell, we whatever normal attempt we make to try and respect any kind of lore, I just couldn't be bothered with here.
I mean, after ghosting, I was done, and that happened in like the first 90 seconds.
Yeah, after ghosting, I'm like, you know what? Real names for everything.
Something about the visuals, though, in this movie. Well, we'll talk more visuals after this, but why do these costumes kind of suck so much in this movie? Usually this is a highlight of even like crappy sci-fi, but like the onesies they're wearing in this, they look like cheap Etsy. Sorry to anyone who does Etsy and does a good job, but like this looks like crap.
Well, Shaq gave him a really good deal on copper shirts.
Shaq? Okay. I didn't know Shaq was involved with After Earth. Maybe he shouldn't. Maybe he should keep that under wraps.
He probably did while, filming his Bazillionth General commercial.
He would have shilled for this movie if they would have paid him enough. Jeez. The biggest crime, though, this movie commits, like visually, is that it just looks boring. All the sci-fi visual splendor stuff you usually get in, like I said, in even crappy sci-fi movies like this really falls flat here. There's like no cool cities. There's no like super cool technology, like even just a couple things. You know what I mean? Like there's really nothing here that looks cool.
Not even a sweeping shot of colony, whatever it's called.
Yeah, it just, I don't know. It doesn't even have the charm of like, remember how crappy like Babylon 5 used to look with those special effects, but it had like a certain charm to it. It doesn't even have that. And
no one tried.
Yeah. And okay. I'm sorry. So there's a part where like Will Smith puts his ring or whatever or something up to the ship's like window, and he feels the vibrations of the ship, which somehow means a meteor shower is going to hit the ship. He can tell this from the vibrations. Now, I'm no science expert, nor do I watch enough sci-fi to really make heads or tails of this, but like, I would have accepted this more if he just told us he was psychic. Like, that was so dumb.
One, yes, it would have absolutely been easier for them to tell us he's psychic. Or at least he's been under some kind of training. Two, do we even see the meteor shower? Because I might have glazed my eyes over this one, because all I remember seeing is a Disney World Imagineers worth of effects of a lot of glowing lights shaking the ship and then saying, the meteor showers are ripping apart the ship. Wow, wow, wow.
You were absolutely correct. I didn't think about it till now, but no, you don't actually see the meteor shower. You just see the ship shaking. It's almost like they didn't even have like the crappy little shots like Star Trek that showed the Enterprise like approaching like a matte painting of a, you know what I mean? Like they didn't even do that. Like a really quick shot. No, it was all just in the ship. And like you said, flashing lights and meteor showers happening. You never do actually see it.
Though this does take us to where we started at the beginning. Strap in the sleep apnea masks and hang on for dear life. And then we suddenly pan to Jaden awakening from the crash, just unceremoniously kicking a corpse out of the way before removing the CPAP machine. I don't know why he would do that. I don't know why he would think that's okay to do, to just take off the mask. It might have been keeping him alive. We don't necessarily know if we can breathe the air here.
On After Earth.
and finding Will, conveniently the only other survivor of the crash. Both of his legs are just broken, and guess what? He's got to task Jaden with finding the other half of a distress beacon, which I don't know why you can't just use it on its own. They kept two halves of it on separate parts of the ship. Like, did they not think that maybe it would be a good idea to, have this shit together? Or,
well, the easy answer is the movie needs to happen. So
I no, Andre, I know that's the answer, but I feel like this is some real bullshit, because after they pass around along some other sci-fi bullshit along like oxygen packs and the cutlass you alluded to earlier, we get the big reveal. We crashed onto After Earth. Here come the men in black, black, black.
First of all, thank you. Secondly,
also the Predator on board is missing, and it probably died in the crash.
Except it totally didn't, guys, because Jaden has to fight it at the end near the distress beacon. Of course he does. Gee, who couldn't have seen that fucking coming? You know what? I think that's what... So this sort of begins the rest of the movie where Will Smith just sits down and collects an easy paycheck while Jaden Smith runs through the forest and gets to the distress beacon. That's the whole rest of the movie, but... You know that he's going to have to fight the fucking Predator at the end and ghost, quote unquote, ghost to do it. So it's just stupid. Anyway, Steve was barely exaggerating. Will does gravely intone, do you know where we are? This is Earth. Right? He does say this is Earth. We just wish he had said this is After Earth. But yeah, Will Smith is alive and intact on the ground. He got sucked into space. They weren't even remotely close to Earth yet. Or excuse me, after Earth yet, when he got sucked out of the thing. So it's just like, I don't know how we survived that. I thought they were going to do the thing where Will Smith is dead, because that would be a very M. Night Shyamalan thing to do.
I was waiting for that.
Okay, you too.
I was waiting for them to like fire the stress beacon and make it to the end of the movie. Your father's been dead for weeks.
Yeah. I thought for sure that was what's going to happen. Okay, I'm glad you thought that. So I initially, as soon as they crashed on Earth, I wrote in the notes, did you have any guess as to where they would crash and land on Earth as a talking point? You know, of course. But as it turns out, little did we know, they would never actually tell us. Because now look, they don't need to do the wildly showy shit. I'm playing, as of this recording, I'm playing Horizon Forbidden West DLC, where you see the Hollywood sign overgrown because, you know, they're in Los Angeles, or even in the regular game where you see the destroyed Golden Gate Bridge and stuff. You don't need to do that over kind of shit, right? But like, maybe you should tell us, the Earthlings who are watching the fucking movie, where you are on Earth. That's most of the fun of these kind of things, right?
Look, I know it's hokey as fuck, and everyone's known this ending without ever seeing the movie because, you know, pop culture zeitgeist. But the original Planet of the Apes has that scene at the very end where an exasperated Charlton Heston finds the Statue of Liberty buried in stand. And I still feel that works way better than this, even though it's at the very end of the movie and we have no other indication, if only because we're given a whole other movie where before this point where it's clear sentient life has lived or currently lives here. And in After Earth, we have no clear evidence of anything. This could have been any jungle planet in the fucking galaxy. Mm-hmm. And I might have had more respect if this was any other kind of planet where there just happens to be a big ass jungle with shitty looking animals on it, but not by much, mind you.
Just say the Amazon. Just say 100,000 years ago, this used to be called the Amazon. That's it. That's all I needed.
That would have been better than this.
Something, man. But yeah, so we don't even get that much in this unsatisfying movie. But you know, I feel like that's a theme whenever we watch crappy movies. It's always me saying, just give me what the fuck I want, please. It's never, I feel like I'm not requesting anything unreasonable.
You're requesting the most basic shit, and no one seems to want to give that to us on these projects. No. Jaden's about had it too, because he's walking out tripping on stones because Earth's gravitational pull is different than at home. That never comes up again.
No, you need to do your best Will Smith, right? You need to say, take a knee and center yourself in this moment and in this place. What do you see around you? Will use your eyes, or whatever the fuck he's saying to him. And it's just like, so, oh my God, shut up. I think I would rip the communicator out of my fucking arm or something like that if I just had to listen.
Take a knee.
Yeah, but like Will Smith takes some weird drowsy painkillers for his broken legs, which leads him to have like a flashback to his daughter who is now dead. But they're having a video call and she's holding a book of Moby Dick, like a real book from the museum. She said, Moby Dick. You're telling me she just ran up on a museum and got Moby Dick? Like, first of all, I think the real takeaway here is that we're still making kids read Moby Dick 1,000 years later, which, I mean, that should die with us, Steve.
Whether it should or it shouldn't, I'm very sure that someone on the writing staff thought they were being real smart or clever here. Like this was going to come back somehow, but it never really does. Moby Dick.
Do you like how the only small talk Will and Jaden had on the ship was like, Jaden said to Will, oh, you know, I started reading Moby Dick. And he looks at him and says, oh, your mother told me. That's real good. And that was it. And then they take a nap.
Like everyone in the theater did after.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I get it. You want to paint Will Smith as like this stoic, like, you know what I mean? I get what he's going for, but it's just really boring, you know? Like, if you don't have like a glimmer of personality or get to know you a little bit, like, I'm sorry, I don't care anyway.
So Jaden's running around the woods or wherever we are, and life form approaching, and we're waiting for it, and it's a chimp or a baboon or something. And against Will's best advice, he throws a rock at it.
Yeah, but Will has to say first, do not move. Recognize your power. This will be your creation. It's like, shut the fuck up, Will Smith. I'm not joking. He literally says that. I wrote that down verbatim. I rewound it twice to hear it correctly. He said that. It's like, why is he so full of himself? Anyway, yeah, Jaden throws.
I don't know what's worse, that someone wrote it like that, or that he had no problem reciting that. I know he's an actor, but come on.
I think I would imagine M. Night decided like all that kind of stuff was like the shit, and then Will Smith went along with it. I doubt that was his idea personally, but anyway. So usually Steve is the CGI complainer around here. And I usually throw you off by saying, oh, stop being so crotchety. Shut up about the green screen or whatever. Because, like, usually I don't mind that kind of shit. If it's done well, it's done well. I don't care if it's real or not. But Steve cares more, right?
Okay, but Andre, even you had to agree in this particular instance. There's like a black mass of blur with one blurry baboon head on it. And come on, that's not...
Oh, it was terrible.
That's not shit.
That was the point of me saying that. The effects in this movie are fucking terrible. You know what they reminded me of? Remember 10,000 BC?
Yes.
Yeah, it reminded me of the crappy effects in those. Now, I didn't actually see 10,000 BC, but I remember the trailer and be like, oh, this looks terrible. Please tell me you never saw 10,000 BC.
No, are we gonna have to now?
No, I mean, I don't want to watch those Roland Emmerich movies. I can't stand. I mean, those are the worst. Please no.
Give 1 million to our Patreon, and we might have to rethink. But
I swear 10,000 BC though looked better than this. It did, because like, could we possibly quantify what makes After Earth look so bad? Because there's like the baboons, right? Those look terrible. There's like cheetahs later. And like shortly after this scene, he like puts on a squirrel suit for some reason and dives through this canyon. And like there's like eagles and stuff, CG eagles. And by the way, he's diving through mountains that don't look like anything on Earth and wouldn't form on Earth after 1,000 years.
For the love of God, I know I say this all the time, but for the love of God, somebody use a puppet or a robot. Come on. None of it. He doesn't look like he's running from anything. And the eagle's the worst.
The eagle's the worst. Oh, remember they tried to give the eagle like face, like human facial, like
no
emoting. Yeah, but they did that. It looked like the Lion King.
But no.
and unlike Steve, this is where we always differ. I don't say we have to use a puppet. I just say make the effects look good. That's all. I don't care if it's a puppet or it's CG. I just want it to not look farcical like this movie does.
I mean, even if it was there, Jaden certainly wasn't reacting to it because even us none of us were buying this for a second.
No. Remember Jaden climbs a mountain and he gazes upon the majesty of the swarms of CGI bees and the buffaloes coming over the hill. Remember that shit?
the blurry ass CGI bees and buffaloes.
The buffaloes looked faker than the Lion King. The Lion King did that shit like super tastefully, if you remember for the time. Like,
this is bad, Andre.
It's terrible.
This hurt me personally.
Anyway, Jaden gets poisoned by a leech or something like that, and then he has to meditate because he's poisoned. And
well, the sci-fi medication paralyzes him, so he has to sleep there and recover. So it's really just an excuse so they can flash back to his sister's 19th birthday, and that leads to okay, take your next oxygen, and he opens it up, and one of the oxygen things is broken, and he doesn't tell Will about this. Dun dun dun.
I hate to be semantical about this, but I think he had 4 left and 2 of them were broken, so he has 2 left. Not that the details matter in this stupid movie, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
Hey, people at home that were also dumb enough to watch this, let us know how many canisters of oxygen Jaden had at this exact point in the movie.
But the Earth freezes over every night, Steve, so you need to be careful. You need to find the geothermal hotspots.
There's a lot of fast cuts in this movie because he's like paralyzed in one scene, and then we just cut immediately to him already in full sprint to running to another hot patch in the forest. I don't know. I felt like I got some whiplash.
Yeah, it was weird because like Will Smith is like, "Hey asshole, wake up because it's getting too cold. You need to go to a hotspot." Because this is after he wakes up from his like drug induced coma, and then immediately.
Did I tell you how bad After Earth gets at night?
Yeah, After Earth gets pretty bad at night. Okay, it's like Pikmin. You ever play Pikmin? You need to like get to somewhere warm, right? Oh my god, if a Bulborb came out, that would look more realistic. If a Bulborb came out and like munched on him.
Yo, I'd be all about that.
Instead of CG cheetah or whatever. Yeah, this movie got really bad really fast. Like, I'm not saying it was good before then, but now, like, Will Smith is just, like, telling us a story about, like, killing his first predator and, like, how fear is a choice and shit like that. And it's like, yo, man, just shut up already.
And Andrew Tate mindset aside, yes, Will Smith tells us a story about how he kills his first alien. Heaven forbid we flash back to when he actually killed this alien and have something exciting happen in this movie for once.
No, I don't know. I'm kind of surprised that they got away with as many bloody images and like severed animal limbs and stuff as he did in a PG-13 movie, because like there was that pile of dead dismembered monkeys, if you remember. There was like a few crew members impaled on trees also in the intro. I don't know if that was supposed to be foreboding, and like his sister dying from the alien that Jaden hid from, and Will Smith blames him for some reason because he was like 11, because that's not a fucked up family dynamic. That was also kind of brutal. It was shown in shadow, Steve, but yeah, no.
What I was really hung up on was the pile of dead monkeys scene. Like, why? What are we exactly foreshadowing to? Did Shyamalan just happen to get the "I like monkeys" chainmail for the first time? Because why else would you have a whole bunch of monkeys one scene and then have a scene where there was more monkeys than you ever had before dead in another scene?
I thought it was weird that they just showed the one monkey limb, which also, by the way, looks CG. I don't think they had anyone make a prop of like, here, we need a baboon
There
limb.
were no props.
Yeah, there's nothing. Anyway, I guess this is kind of the breaking point in the movie for the characters, right? Because Will's like, show me your oxygen things on camera. Because, like, by the way, every time Jaden lies about his oxygen, Will Smith sees his heart rate go up on this monitor. I don't know why he's monitoring his heart rate.
Well, there's a lot of sci-fi computer crap that he's surrounded by with his broken legs. He's like Zordon without the tank from Power Rangers. He's like, he knows all but sees all, but can't do shit about it.
Yeah, so except tell Jaden what to do. And in this case, just abort mission, come back to the ship, blah, blah, blah. You tried your best, which, you know, it seems sarcastic to Jaden because it is. And Jaden tells him off.
Oh, we get a whole, I am not a coward. No R in coward. And, you know, he just jumps off the cliff.
With using
and we get, that's when we see the squirrel suit. I guess that was always part of the suit or something. And then that's when we get our first taste of the bad CGI eagle we alluded to earlier. He's trying his best Rocky the Flying Squirrel impression, just flying slower, diving faster, whatever. And like none of it's really working because eventually we just land in the middle of a nest where we see crappy CG cheetah that we also brought up earlier.
The CG cheetah is trying to eat the CG like eggs, I think.
Yep.
And Jaden's like, no, stay away from them or something. And then like, I'm not sure why he's doing this, but whatever.
Captain Planet told him to.
Captain Planet would never let After Earth be in this state. Okay. He warned us against this. Him and Gaia warned us against this kind of thing.
I guess they'd be dead by this point.
Oh, Gaia cannot die. I don't know. Will Smith sends like a goodbye message to his wife, or I guess he records one, or is just saying that he lost contact with his son or something like that because the communicator broke, I guess.
Yeah, without a beacon, I guess he's really just recording a goodbye message.
But that's so weird. Like, why? that was weird, wasn't it? Like, what was that about? Like, was that supposed to be more character building of how he doesn't have any personality? Because that was the whole message. There was no "I love you," I hope I get out of this, can't wait to see you soon. None of that shit. Just like,
if anything, it was a character building of how he doesn't really believe his son's going to do it, but they never really built character in that direction either. Will Smith's just Cypher, the guy he was more ship than man at this point. Because, that's all we really get, because the only other semblance of humanity on this planet is when Jaden's in the, he's on a cave looking at cave paintings that we don't know where they came from, and not that it matters, and he's making his own with it plan to go to the ship piece.
I forgot about that.
And by plan, I mean he just kind of draws a line from a picture of another thing of himself to ship.
I completely forgot about that. I totally forgot about that. Holy shit, that was dumb. Wow. The more I think about it, Horizon Zero Dawn just eats this movie for lunch. Like, if you like the concept of this movie, but want to actually, well, you played Horizon Zero Dawn, I guess, so, like, but, like, holy shit. It's kind of crazy, huh? Just, like, a few years later. Maybe they were big fans of After Earth secretly.
Just imagining somebody at Sony Interactive yelling, "We could do this much better."
And they did. They fucking did. They knew this is bad, right? Will Smith, Jaden Smith, they knew this is bad. Were they just trusting the process? Okay, maybe if we don't think it's great, M. Night Shyamalan, I'm Will Smith, August blockbuster. Like, they just thought this was going to work out.
I couldn't imagine any other way to get through this movie if I was on there. I'm here, I'm getting paid, and there's a lot of other people that are supposed to make this okay looking.
I mean, I feel like you can't make something like this and not know. But so begins one of the worst scenes I've seen in a movie, like, maybe ever.
You mean where we just transition suddenly to a raft that Jaden builds, and by all logic should sink because we have no idea that he should be able to build a raft, and it's okay somehow. And when he falls asleep, or is that what we're talking about? And he's talking to his dead sister, but it's really just his brain.
Okay, two scenes back to back that are the worst like I've ever seen, because I forgot about that part. Yes, that was dumb. And she's there talking to him, quote unquote. I don't even remember what they talked. Could you tell me a single line of dialogue there?
I think it was pretty much don't blame yourself. You were like 6 when this happened.
But Will Smith blames me.
He doesn't really blame you. He blames himself. Now wake up. You have to wake up. You're on a raft. You just built yourself an hour ago. You have to wake up.
And he does, because he's in some, he's like freezing to death. He's running away from the cold now, because it's like frosting over, which, again, I'm no science expert, but like, come on. How can the earth freeze over every night? That doesn't make any sense.
That's the climate change them scientists are trying to warn us about.
I mean, my God, though. Like, that doesn't, anyway.
But, the eagle showed up to save him overnight, and we're supposed to feel bad about it. That was because he saved the eggs earlier from a cheetah.
The CGI eagle, folks, shielded him from the cold all night, and the eagle died because of the cold, because it was shielding Jaden Smith. I cannot believe this happened. That was one of the dumbest things I have ever seen. Ever, Steve. Am I crazy? Is this one of the... come on.
No, this is definitely up there for the dumbest shit in sci-fi. I'm struggling to think of something dumber right now.
My brain shut off after this, because usually I don't usually give up this hard on a movie, especially if I'm watching it for this show, but my brain closed. I watched the rest of the movie, but like, I was like, I'm fucking over it. I'm done. Let's just fucking end this, please, quickly, is what I was thinking. And you know what? Let's do that right now. Let's end this right now, because we know the rest of the movie from here. He gets saved by the CGI eagle. The predator shows up. I guess he kills the predator.
Kind of. Like, he finds the beacon too, but it doesn't work where he is. He's got to climb to the mountain, and that's why the predator is like slowly following him, because he's exerting fear until he sort of doesn't. And then they do like one cool thing with the cutlass, or at least for this movie, it's kind of neat, where he uses it to climb up the thing, and then eventually we use the power of flashbacks and fatherly advice to learn ghosting. And then we get the other scene that's more loud music and monster shrieking than anything that actually happens before the predator gets double stabbed before the beacon is finally fucking sent. And then we get the lame-ass throwback to earlier in the movie where Will has the rescue crew stand him up so he can hug his son, who decides he'd much rather work with his mother. A scene that I am sure was meant to be much funnier and more endearing if any of these characters had any character established, whatever. They fly off. Credits play. Will Smith raps to a new version of Wild Wild West in the credits. No, that doesn't happen, but my God, I wish it did.
That was like the only thing people remember about Wild Wild West is him ripping off the Cool Mo D song, because nobody actually saw Wild Wild West. No, we are not watching Wild Wild West. I refuse to watch it.
Oh, I already saw it, so we can't based on our criteria.
No, thank you. Yeah, I don't even remember him climbing the mountain. My brain must have shut off so hard after the eagle. I just thank you.
It wasn't enough that the predator did in fact escape. It had to be that the beacon was getting ionic interference or whatever bullshit they had to invent for that last 15 minutes. What a piece of shit, Andre.
What a piece of shit movie. Before we go, though, I want you to read something that I found uproariously funny from the Wikipedia, and I want you to read it out loud. I put it in the notes for you at the top here, so scroll up and read that shit to the people, and I'll try to giggle as less as I can, which means barely. I won't contain myself.
In March 2018, it was revealed that After Earth was intended to be the first installment of a new franchise. Pitched to the studio by Will Smith, the intention was to launch a multimedia franchise called 1000 AE. Plans were originally for After Earth to be followed by a sequel, a live-action television series, an animated television series, webisodes, mobisodes, a video game, consumer products, theme park attractions, documentaries, comics, an educational program collaboration in partnership with NASA, cologne and perfume lines, and a social media platform.
I'm gonna die. Holy shit, I'm gonna die into the microphone. Goodbye, everybody. I'm dead. Oh, no, I'm still alive for now. Holy
but you know
shit.
what? That didn't fucking happen. You know why? Because after a budget of $130 million, this only made $243.8 million.
And you know what? People will hear that. It's like, well, that's more than the budget. You have no idea how much a movie has to make to break even, guys.
As we've gone over, you got to at least triple it before it's considered profitable.
Well, for a movie like this, you do. Because the marketing on it is ridiculous. I mean, they spent 130 on the movie. Who knows what they spent to market this? Maybe easily another 100 million. And then accounting for theater split and all that stuff, right? You ain't making any money off this. But honestly, I'm surprised it made 243. I actually thought it would be definitely under 2.
Man, I really don't know what the answer is either. I was more surprised to find out that this was sort of filmed in 4K, Andre.
Sort of?
Yes, I had to do some research here because this was filmed in 4K. Well, kind of, because I was doing research, and this says this was one of the first movies Sony produced to be filmed in 4K. And then I did slightly better research. Live action elements were filmed in 4K using Sony f6.5 digital cameras. But special effects take a lot of data to work with, Andre. You all know that. Mm-hmm. So those were prepared in plain old HD.
That explains the oil and water, right? That's why nothing ever looks centered in that world, I guess, huh? Besides the fact that the animation was crappy or whatever, it still would have looked bad even if the CG were scaled up to the right resolution, but that explains a lot.
Even Still, it's worth noting that I don't know about you, Andre, but out here, a lot of theaters were not ready for 4K in particular. Even multi-million dollar chains out here like Lowe's or, I'm sorry, AMC and Regal, they might have had one 4K projector, and they might have not been wanting to waste that on After Earth.
If you think about it, though, 2013 and like, I don't know, just the beginning of that decade, I guess, up through 2013, there was a lot of mega budget flops. If you remember, there was like Green Lantern. There's like John Carter, I guess, is like the big one. You ever see John Carter?
No.
It's good. It's pretty good. I don't know why it bombed so hard. I mean, maybe just nobody was interested in that kind of thing. It's actually not bad.
I mean, I'm not doubting you. I'm just saying it slipped.
Yeah. Lone Ranger for me comes to mind because I actually went to go see that piece of shit, and I was just told in that hope, oh, this could be, no.
I'm sorry.
That was terrible. But yeah, people forget about Battleship, which apparently you have seen.
It is perfectly watchable.
Yeah, see, I always got the impression that it wasn't that bad, but it had a ridiculous budget. It cost over $200 million to make. I have no idea how a Battleship movie got that kind of budget.
Hey, them Parker brothers,
Yes, who are definitely alive today.
They're not afraid of some trouble.
I'm trying to think of one. I'm so desperately trying to think of a Monopoly joke, and I can't.
Well, when you get a clue, you can come back to us.
Oh, I don't even have the sound effects here. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's this kind of stuff that pushed studios way towards the superhero safe harbor for the rest of the decade, and not, people don't want to go to the movies anymore. No, like they gave us a whole bunch of shit that was way too expensive that nobody wanted to watch. Mars Needs Moms, which we still need to watch. So, if you ask me, you're the type to complain about that kind of superhero shit for some reason. So, I mean, don't you agree?
Because there's a lot of it, I think. But yeah, you're right. There was a lot of crap right around now, and you got to go with what works. Movies are a business, so where does the money come from? Superheroes. You can't fight that. Not from John Carter, that's for sure. And it didn't come from After Earth, despite all the plans they had for it. If Will Smith has a bunch of lunchboxes for After Earth sitting in his COVID bunker, that'd be something to see.
There were some Scientology parallels drawn to this movie I read on the wiki, and I remember talk about this at the time, but it seems to be more of a coincidence than anything else. Or maybe people were still traumatized by Battlefield Earth, if you remember that movie, the John Travolta, Forrest Whitaker.
Yeah, I mean, I did some research here. There have been parallels drawn between what After Earth is and how the mentor-student relationship that Scientology uses, where newer members, through the use of e-meters, which are devices used to track electrical resistance caused by emotional distress, which, was kind of the plot of After Earth. So we may or may not have punked ourselves into watching religious propaganda again.
Well, at least we shit on it, so I don't think we're becoming cult members anytime soon.
I'm too poor to be a Scientologist anyway.
Okay, I can't afford this religion. That's why celebrities with too much money on their hands get into that shit.
You need a bank account with a lot of zeros at the end to be in Scientology.
Yep. Okay, we should end on the money quotes, if you will, because a few years ago, Will Smith put out that memoir, and there was a lot of juicy stuff in there. Honestly, we made it with stuff that we still meme about to this day. But there was something in there about After Earth, he said, Steve.
Oh, yes, and more specifically, how it affected his relationship with Jaden. And it goes to the effect of, and what was worse was that Jaden took the hit. Fans and press were absolutely vicious. They said and printed things about Jaden that I refuse to repeat. Jaden had faithfully done everything that I'd instructed him to do, and I had coached him into the worst public mauling he'd ever experienced. Continuing a bit on, we never discussed it, but I know he felt betrayed. He felt misled, and he lost my trust in my leadership. Is he being the general in the movie? Anyway, At 15 years old, when Jaden asked about being an emancipated minor, my heart shattered. He ultimately decided against it, but it sucks to feel like you've hurt your kids.
There is so much to unpack there that I don't even...
Are we even equipped to unpack this?
No, honestly. I just want to leave that be, and we could run screaming from this entire experience. What do you say, Steve?
Sounds good to me, Andre.
All right, let's get the fuck out of here. That is enough After Earth for two people. Find Time Podcast on Twitter. You know where to find us, guys. Or look in the description of this podcast to find the same information. See you next time. Bye.